Hello, Dave here. This mini morsel, learn JavaScript with me, and we're going to enter some tasks into an array. We're going to learn a little bit about arrays, array handling, and this is working through chapter 6. I am working on the book. It's called Modern JavaScript, Develop and Design by Larry Oman. Got it off of Amazon. Seems like a pretty good book. No relationship with Larry, except I have his book, and I'm working on learning JavaScript. And so far, so good. Finally, up to I've gone through chapter 4, and there were 4 exercises in chapter 4, and 4 exercises in chapter 5, and now chapter 6. 4 more exercises. Seems to be a little bit of a pattern, and finally getting into some real programming type of stuff. Still at the beginning level. Looking forward to getting into chapter 7 and 8 and 9. Getting into the heavy duty stuff, but trying not to cut corners, just to make sure I have a good handle on it. Arrays. Been doing them for, every programming language pretty much does them. If you don't have any idea what an array is, it probably would make sense to do a little bit of research on it. Going to take a look at how to use an array in JavaScript, some of the methods that are available. Pretty straightforward. And just in general terms, an array is just basically being able to index elements within one data item, and it's pretty much in memory to be used, not persistent. And what you would do, obviously, to persist something is to put it into something like a database, but it is a way to keep track of many, like grades or something, grades, number of attributes on a specific item, people on a list of things is an array, and you index it in JavaScript. The index starts at 0. The exercise basically shows us enter to-do items. Obviously, these to-do items, this won't persist or exist after I refresh the browser or close the browser. But the idea is understand how to use an array. So if I type in task 1 here and click the button to add it, here's our array displayed as an ordered list. This is what the exercise has us doing, and it shows us we have one element, and the element is task 1. I can keep going here, task 2. Here is something else to do. A whole bunch of string items. We'll go ahead and take a look at how this works. Basically, hopefully you have an idea. Here's our array. Right now we have 3 elements in that array, and we're going to go ahead and go into the details of how we got those elements in there and how we're displaying those on the screen. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening behind the scenes and take a look at the arrays within the browser. The easiest way for me to do that is to bring up Firefox here, and I'll go into the same item here. I was just using Chrome here, or that's hang on. I was just using Chrome here to show how this exercise works. And now going to Firefox, and once again, everything is available. Please leave a message or a comment down below. Send a message to me, dave@davecoast.com. You can come out to js.davecoast.com. These exercises are out here. You're welcome to come out, debugger them, look through them, and davecoast.com. I have, here's my email, dave@davecoast.com. Either that or leave a question below the video. Once again, look, I'm working on it actually on my local XAMPP server just to make it easier. And so enter an item to be done. So right now I would expect nothing to be in this array. And here's my Notepad++ text editor. And we'll walk through this code. But basically, we're starting out by creating a global variable called tasks and defining it as an array by using the square brackets. So let's go ahead and put a couple of items out here, and I'll start with, this is task 1, and we'll add it. And once again, the same type of thing we saw before. And we'll do, this is task 2. Another item. And final item for right now. So we have an array. We're currently active in our browser. If I refresh, we'll lose these items, but there are 4 items in the array. Let's go ahead and bring up the, under Tools, Web Developer, and Web Console. And I'll just clear those messages out of there. So we start with a blank slate. And remember, our variable is called tasks. That's the name of our array. So if I just type tasks here, it'll show us what's in that array. And here's our 1, 2, 3, 4 elements separated by commas. I can create another array, right? Variable array 1 equal to bracket, bracket, and that created another array, right? So I can say A1 is equal to tasks, and now they both have the same values in there. And I'm just doing A1, so it's a little simpler to write. I guess it's only, 3 different characters. But anyway, A1 dot length, right, gives us the number of elements that are in the array. And just remember, arrays start at 0. So if I wanted to look at the very first item here, this is task 1, I would do A1 bracket 0 bracket, and it shows me this array. So in the book, he discusses it as the A1 dot length is 1 more than the last index value. I just call it the number of elements, and the index value starts at 0. But it's a good way to, if you're not used to everything starting at 0, and it's a very common thing and used throughout JavaScript. So far, so good, and that's in the Firefox console. And again, we could do the same thing in the Firebug console, and we can do the same thing in the Chrome console. Now remember, we have a different set of values here, but what I want to do is bring up this screen here, just from the W3 schools. It's just a handy dandy selection here. Here are the array object methods, and we're going to take a look at a couple of them. Again, just like string methods, we have index of, and it will search for that element and it will return its position. And if it doesn't find it, it'll return a -1. For example, let me come back here, and if I do A1 dot index of and put in test not found, which it should not find, right? and I get a -1. But if I do the A1 and put one of our values in there, I could do this is task 2, and notice it returns the index of 1, right? So 0, 1, it returns the index of 1. This is task 2, right? And just to drive it home, I could change this to another item, and it returns 2. Notice that if I do another item, it doesn't find it. It is case sensitive. And the idea here, let me bring this guy back up. The idea here is to play around with these different guys to see what methods you have and what you can do with them. In our actual code for this program, and we're going to start walking through it in just a moment, we actually use the push and the, is that the only, and the length. So we're using those two methods for the book exercise. So we're using push. Push adds new elements to the end of an array and returns the new length. And we're also using the length, which I don't even see here, is it because I'm blind? Well, anyway, dot length returns the number of elements in the array. So let's return to here, and once again, this push thing, right? Remember, here's our guy here, and we're printing out this as an ordered list. So if I do a task dot push, let's spell it correctly, bracket, here is a push item, and it did not like that. Task.push. Oh, because I use brackets. Hang on. Instead of parentheses method. See, that's the whole idea, is you got to type it yourself, or else you never learn the difference. So putting parentheses on here. There we go. Now, and it returns the number. Remember, we had 4 before. Now we have 5. So if we look at tasks, right, here is a push item. And let's go ahead down here. Come back into our guy, remember, so we had 4. I added, here is a push item. And I'm going to add, here is after the push item. And we should have 6. Add it, and now we have 6. Here is the push item, shows up, and here's the after push item. Right? So let's go ahead. We'll walk through this guy in Debugger and see how she fares. And walk through the actual code here. Boy, that console is just the spiffiest thing. The console, you can use the console in either Chrome or Firefox, or probably the other browsers too. I've been just using Chrome and Firefox, and it is making learning JavaScript so much better. Go ahead, try it as much as you want. And, you know, the beautiful thing is you can't hurt anything. So let's go ahead and take a look at this for a second. First of all, I have the HTML here. And here's the HTML for my page. Here's the important pieces of the puzzle. our form elements, right? So I have task form ID, and you see that task form ID is where I do the on submit to trigger the button. And we have this div item, this task in ID, right? And that refers to the data here. And then we have the actual button, and down here we have the task count out ID, and this is the actual data that shows up in here. I just styled it silly, just to have fun with it. Might as well have some fun because I'm learning my JavaScript. So here you see that we're creating a message, and we send this to this task out, which has been referencing this task count ID. So we get the data in, and we put data out, and we work with our array. Once again, this array is defined as a global variable. Normally we wouldn't do that, but we have to do it as a global variable because otherwise it would not exist. Each iteration, it would only exist for the time of that function. So just looking at, so creating the global variable, our tasks array, and JavaScript bottom to top. So let's start at the bottom here, window.onload. So when this page is loaded, it will execute the wait for task entry button function. We created a function, wait for task entry button, and it gets triggered by the onSubmit event and executes the add task function, which is up here. Add task creates two references to the HTML page, then does an if statement if task in has a value. So if there is an actual value in this area here, if there is a value, then we go ahead, note, and I'll talk about these comments in a moment. So if there is a value, then we use the push method to put whatever that value is into our array, and then we put together this message with HTML. Notice we got HTML here, right, with an ordered list and a heading to, right, and these list elements, right? So we put in a for loop to crank through. So each time we're going to go through each element in the array. That's why I was able to push an element through the console and it still displayed it, right? And then we finish our ordered lists and use this inner HTML. So since we have HTML in here, we have to use the inner HTML method, putting this message out value, and that puts this back out to the page so we can see what's going on there. And we return false to reset it so it doesn't recursively loop around. And that's our program. So let's take a quick buzz through in Debugger and see how it works. And once again, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know at the bottom of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page, turn on Debugger, get the JavaScript. Right, here's that JavaScript. We were just looking at that. What I meant to talk about, why I commented this out. One way of putting a value into the task is to take this task in.value and just put it in, using the task.length, which would be the next available entry, right? That's equal to one more than the current index value. So it would put it in that way, and it's just a best practice for using the task.push method instead. So just something from the book. Wanted to make sure I passed that along. And let's go ahead and detach this so we can bring it up here. And let me scrunch that over to the side there. And I'm going to go ahead and set a breakpoint here at the first executable statement within my function. Let's refresh that. And I'm going to go ahead and here is task 1. And let's add it. Stops at my breakpoint, right? So we're going ahead and referencing, we're going to reference this variable. Again, debugger. It does not, or it highlights the next statement to be executed when we click this step into, or the F11. And I'm just going to click it here. So now we have referenced this task in. You'll notice over here, task in shows that it's referenced. All right, let's execute the next one. There's I just did task out, right? So now we have task out and task in. Now we're going to create the message out variable. Okay, so that's created. It's just equal to an empty string right now, which is what we told it to do. And now if task in has a value, right, and it should be, here is task 1. And notice if I hover over it, oh, it is. Here is task 1. It's in red and it's quotes, so it is a string. So I will go ahead and it will say, yes, there is a value there. Go ahead, and now we're going to push that value into our array. So let's go ahead and push that value in, and you'll see that, right, that our array now has task in, or tasks rather, has a value, right? See, if I hover over tasks, it shows me inside those brackets the value. So let's go ahead, and now we're going to loop through for, and let's just take a look at this for a second in the editor. It's a little easier to see, right? This for, which is pretty handy dandy. So we're creating a variable called I for increment and starting it off at 0, and a variable called count starting off at task.length, right, which is task.length right now is equal to 1. See that? I'm hovering over it, showing me it's 1, right? So create those two variables, and it's basically saying, well, I is less than count, right? So I is equal to 0, which is less than count, which is equal to 1. Execute this line of code, and after you're done, increment I. So basic for loop type of processing there. So let's go ahead and execute that. And we go ahead and start putting together our message out variable. And whoops. Ooh, I hit up instead of down there. There we go. And now message out, we're attaching, with the plus equal, just concatenating that, because it's a little difficult to fit it all on one line. And we're going ahead and put that out. So it's about to execute this line here. After it executes it, we should see it here. And execute. Here's our ordered list. And now we return false, and we're done. So there's walking through the code. I'm going to go ahead, reattach that to the bottom, turn off Firebug, and as you can see here, we can add tasks all day long. I mean, I could just hit enter. I can click the button. You can make them big or little anyway. Just displaying them on a screen. This is working with an array. We used a couple of different methods, little introduction to arrays, and now we're starting to actually get into some fun JavaScript coding, and looking forward to getting done with chapter 6, moving on chapter 7, 8, and 9, getting into the real stuff, more intermediate. This is, I'd say chapter 6 is probably the end of the beginner intro type of stuff, and 7, 8, 9 haven't really looked that far ahead, but I'm guessing that's more intermediate type of activities. So thank you very much for learning JavaScript with me. This is Dave at davecoast.com. Please go ahead. You're welcome to go out here, play around with these exercises, js.davecoast.com, or you can go to Dave Coast and click on Learning JavaScript. Send me an email, come out, hit the contact me, leave comments at the bottom of the video. Either way, let's learn some JavaScript and make something happen. So thank you for watching, and pretty soon, hopefully, we will be JavaScript wizards. Thank you.